Imagine opening your daily newspaper. You expect the usual headlines, maybe a political scandal or a sporting event. But what if instead of the mundane, you stumbled upon something that sent shivers down your spine? Instead, you find a chilling message, a coded riddle from a self-proclaimed murderer, a message that would haunt you and the entire city. This is how the world first encountered the Zodiac Killer, a name that would soon become synonymous with terror and mystery. His cryptic messages and gruesome acts would leave an indelible mark on history. The year was 1968. The place was San Francisco, a city bustling with life now overshadowed by fear. The killer, hidden in the shadows, had already claimed 2 young lives, innocent victims who had no idea they were part of a deadly game. This was just the beginning. His reign of terror was far from over. The city would soon realize that a relentless predator was among them. He was ready to play a deadly game with the police and the public, a game that would test the limits of their resolve and their sanity. He craved attention, notoriety. What better way to gain it than by taunting the authorities with coded messages, daring them to catch him? Each letter was a twisted challenge, a puzzle that needed solving. His letters, filled with cryptic symbols and chilling boasts, became a morbid fascination for the nation. People were both terrified and intrigued. Each letter was a piece of a terrifying puzzle, and the world watched in horror as the pieces fell into place, revealing a mind consumed by darkness, revealing the terrifying reality of the Zodiac's crimes, a reality that would haunt the memories of those who lived through it, and captivate the imaginations of future generations. The idyllic town of Benicia, California, nestled on the Carquinez Strait, seemed an unlikely place for such darkness to unfold. Known for its serene landscapes and close-knit community, it was a place where everyone knew each other, and crime was almost unheard of. But on a cold December night in 1968, tragedy struck. The peacefulness of the town was shattered, leaving an indelible mark on its history. High school sweethearts David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen parked on Lake Herman Road, seeking a moment of privacy on a chilly night. They were young, full of dreams, and had their whole lives ahead of them. Their young love was tragically cut short. What was meant to be a night of romance turned into a nightmare. The silence of the night was shattered by gunshots, forever etching their fate into the annals of crime history. The echoes of those shots still haunt the memories of those who remember that night. David was found dead at the scene, a bullet wound to the head. His life was taken in an instant, leaving behind a trail of sorrow. Betty Lou, clinging to life, managed to stumble away from the car but was tragically gunned down just a few feet away. Her desperate attempt to escape was in vain. Their deaths, brutal and senseless, sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. The police were baffled. The town, once a haven of peace, was now gripped by fear and confusion. Who could commit such a heinous act? The question lingered in the air, unanswered and unsettling. The lack of witnesses, the seeming randomness of the attack, left them grasping at straws. Every lead seemed to lead to a dead end, and the mystery deepened. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a nightmare. The events of that night would set off a chain of terror that would haunt the region for years to come. Days later, the killer injected himself into the narrative in a chillingly bold move, one that would forever change the course of the investigation. 3 identical letters arrived at the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner, each one more unsettling than the last. Typed on a plain white sheet, the letters were a chilling confession, meticulously crafted to instill fear and demand attention. The writer claimed responsibility for the murders of David and Betty Lou and another recent attack in Vallejo, leaving no doubt about his intentions. But the chilling part? He threatened more violence if his letters weren't printed on the front page, a demand that sent shockwaves through the community. The letters also contained a chilling element, a 408-character cryptogram, a puzzle that seemed to mock the authorities. This cipher, the killer claimed, held the key to his identity, a tantalizing clue that both intrigued and horrified the public. The public was captivated, terrified, and desperate for answers, their lives now intertwined with the cryptic messages of a madman. The newspapers, facing an unprecedented ethical dilemma, ultimately published the letters, hoping to appease the killer and prevent further bloodshed, a decision that weighed heavily on their conscience. The gamble paid off, at least momentarily. The Zodiac, true to his word, did not strike immediately, giving the city a brief respite from the terror. Months later, terror returned to Vallejo. On the 4th of July, Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau were enjoying a romantic evening at the Blue Rock Springs Park. Their peaceful night took a terrifying turn when a man approached their car, blinding them with a flashlight. Gunshots pierced the night, leaving Darlene dead and Mike critically injured. He would later provide a chilling description of the attacker, a stocky man in a hooded costume, a chilling image that would forever be associated with the Zodiac. Days later, the Vallejo Times-Herald received another chilling message. It began with the bone-chilling words, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." He claimed responsibility for the Blue Rock Springs attack, and provided chilling details that only the killer could know. The Zodiac's reign of terror continued. Weeks after the Blue Rock Springs attack, a couple, Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell, were enjoying a picnic at Lake Berryessa, a picturesque spot north of San Francisco. Their idyllic afternoon was shattered by a man approaching them, clad in a bizarre hooded costume emblazoned with a chilling symbol, a crossed circle. Brandishing a gun and claiming to be an escaped convict, he bound and stabbed them repeatedly. He then left a chilling message on Brian's car door, scrawled in what seemed to be the killer's own blood. By knife Sep 2769 4:30 p.m. Zodiac. Despite their severe injuries, Brian miraculously survived to recount the horrifying tale. Sadly, Cecilia succumbed to her wounds, adding another name to the Zodiac's growing list of victims. Section 6. Silence Falls. The final confirmed murder attributed to the Zodiac was as brazen as it was public. Paul Stein, a cab driver in San Francisco, picked up a fare on a rainy October night, unaware that he was stepping into a nightmare. The passenger directed him to Presidio Heights, a wealthy enclave. At the intersection of Washington and Maple Streets, a struggle ensued. Paul Stein was shot and killed. The killer then calmly took his wallet and a piece of his shirt, leaving behind a chilling calling card, another message to the police and the press. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the Zodiac's reign of terror seemingly ended. The letters, once a terrifyingly regular occurrence, ceased. The police, despite their best efforts, were no closer to unmasking the killer. The case, though still open, grew cold. Section 7. The Shadow Lingers. Despite the lack of new leads, the Zodiac case became an obsession for many. Amateur sleuths, journalists, and armchair detectives pored over the evidence, trying to crack the ciphers and uncover the killer's identity. Theories abounded. Was the Zodiac a disgruntled police officer, a frustrated artist seeking recognition, a cold-blooded psychopath driven by a need for control? The possibilities seemed endless, each theory as plausible as it was terrifying. The Zodiac's shadow loomed large over the San Francisco Bay Area and beyond. The case, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath even the most ordinary of facades, became a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the evil that men do. Section 8. A Glimmer in the Darkness. The Zodiac case, seemingly destined to remain unsolved, took a dramatic turn in 2020. A team of amateur codebreakers finally cracked the Zodiac's 340-character cipher, a message that had baffled experts for over 50 years. The decoded message, while not revealing the killer's identity, offered a chilling glimpse into his psyche. It was filled with ramblings about slavery and the afterlife, a bizarre mix of grandiosity and paranoia that only deepened the mystery. The breakthrough, while significant, did not lead to a definitive identification. The Zodiac, it seemed, would remain a phantom, his true identity hidden behind a mask of his own making. Section 9. Who was the Zodiac? The Zodiac Killer, a name forever etched in the annals of crime history, remains an enigma. Was he a cunning mastermind who managed to outwit the authorities? Or was he simply a product of his time, a shadowy figure who thrived in the chaos and uncertainty of the late 1960s? The answer, like so much else about the Zodiac, remains elusive. The case, though officially inactive, continues to captivate and terrify, a chilling reminder that some mysteries may never be solved. The Zodiac's legacy is a haunting blend of fascination and fear. He is a ghost, a whisper in the night, a chilling reminder that some secrets are buried too deep to ever be fully unearthed.